Hi, welcome back to the channel. If you've been watching, you'll know in the past 5 or 6 months, we've had a lot going on. I've had this truck for probably 6 or 7 months, haven't had a lot of time to work on it. I'm finally getting a chance to get back into it. Here's what I plan to do with it, and here's why I bought it. Basically, F-Trucks have always been a love of mine. If you live on the Gold Coast, years ago, I'm talking 20 years ago, you drive across Isle of Capri, there used to be an F350 sitting there. It was a gold coloured Julie and the number plates of Ben Hur. As soon as I saw that truck, I was like, I'm getting one of those. That was it. That's what sold me on them. F-Trucks are the type of thing, once you buy one, you'll always love them. You'll always own them. This is my third one. This one is a 7.3 litre Power Stroke, 2006 model, automatic. It's done 125,000 Ks. My previous ones, I had an F250 extra cab 5.4 petrol. I converted that to a Julie on 22-inch semi rims. The next one I had was just a single cab. Funnily enough, they've all been silver. The single cab I sold to a friend of mine. It was a great truck. It was clean. He has since supercharged it. So later on, we'll do a video on that, what sort of performance he's got, how we went about supercharging it, and what he plans to do with that in the future. But this truck, why did I buy this one? I always wanted a 7.3, always wanted a dual cab, and after hunting and hunting and hunting, they were Australian dollars, $50,000 to $75,000, $80,000. This one came along at about a third of that price. It had its problems. I knew about it. What I planned to do with it, that was irrelevant. The truck itself was water damaged in the Brisbane floods of 2011, so it has been a repairable write-off. Went right through it. The only water damage I can find, the only thing that doesn't work, was the window reg. I've since replaced that. That's working, and the airbag module has a little bit of outside corrosion on it now. Airbag modules and corrosion, they kind of go hand in hand. You can pull them out of a brand new car and they show like an aluminium oxide on the outside of the airbag module. So this one being the 7.3, they range in horsepower from 210 to 275 horsepower from factory. We can do a few upgrades on that. Hopefully double that, pushing it 550 to 600 horsepower, doing exhaust, downpipes, turbo, air intake. But that'll be the last thing we do. First things we do is going to be cosmetic, getting it back on the road, and a few upgrades along the way, which I think you'd be quite surprised by. Let's take a look inside and see what we're going to do. So this F-Truck, having done 125,000 Ks, the interior is exceptionally clean. It has been well looked after. Has the basics, has the cruise control, electric windows, the auto column shift. I personally like the interior on these. I just like the shade of grey, the layout with the armrests, the colours. I don't like the show truck, you know, the bright yellows, the bright reds and greens that people do. I'm going to keep this standard. The only thing I will be doing is adding a upgraded head unit with reverse camera, because the car's so long, quite often you can't see over the tailgate. And these F-Trucks also have a problem with heat radiation through the floor and also noise. So we're going to pull the interior, pull the seats out. We're going to sound deaden it. And we're actually going to replace it with carpet. These have vinyl from factory, so we're going to put carpet in. One thing I did just think of is that this being an 06, it still has a 7.3. So if you're in America and you're wondering why it has a 7.3, in Australia these are built in Brazil and then imported and sold new as right-hand drive. The easiest way to pick a factory right-hand drive in Australia is there's no glove box. You see, we use them as ambulances, so the ambulances will have a glove box being an F350, or if it's converted like a 99, early 2000, it'll also have a glove box. They have the center console storage. A lot of people replace these with a fridge. I won't be doing that. I'll be leaving it as it is. So that's one key difference between the Australian truck and the American one. The other being that the American would also be a coil spring front end with a 6-litre motor, whereas these still run the old 7.3. So this is another Australian thing, the headlights. If you're in the US, you've probably never seen these before. US, they run a one-piece glass with an indicator underneath, or they run a single one-piece headlight. Here in Australia, that's what these trucks all had from 99 to 2006. We're going to get rid of that, we're going to get rid of the grille, and we're going to get rid of the bonnet and upgrade them. So this is the biggest upgrade that's been going on for the last 4 months. I sent it to a truck manufacturer over in Ashmore to have the chassis extended. Now, I had the chassis extended up to a 350 length. The F250 has a 6-foot bed, tray, tub, whatever you want to call it. The F350s have an 8-foot. You simply cannot find an F350 with an 8-foot bed in Australia. When they come up for sale, they sell straight away. They are sought after. How I did the chassis extension, I got an extra cab chassis. The distance from the rear body mount on the extra cab is exactly 380 mil longer and gives you exactly what you need. So when the chassis was extended, it was cut and joined through here. There's a plate on the inside that you can't see, but I'm sure you'll all agree, from the outside it looks factory. There's two parts in the conversion that are custom. One is a handbrake cable extension. A bit further under the cab, the two cables join to one. There's about an 8 to 10 inch extension that hooks on there. The other thing that they did was manufacture this, mounts the tank, the tail shaft, the cross members, the fuel tank, the tub, everything else is factory. So if there's a problem in future, it's going to be with this or with the handbrake cable. Other than that, everything is standard. Okay, so like I said, I've had this car for 6 to 7 months. One upgrade I've already done is the EFS suspension. Number of reasons I went with EFS. My long-term plan with this is coil spring front and 4-link coil airbag rear. EFS offered the cheapest available suspension upgrade for a GVM upgrade. Now, during COVID is when they started. A lot of manufacturers were out of stock. They didn't have what they needed. When I got this engineered and I had the GVM upgraded, they're originally $4,290. I got this upgraded to $4,600, and there's a reason for that we'll get to later. But the airbags I'm going to remove and just basically run this suspension purely for the purpose of running larger tyres and that GVM upgrade. Suspension is very basic, still leaf springs front and rear. So now that we've got the boring stuff out of the way, we can move on to the good stuff. What we plan to do with this truck. First thing is the rims. You may notice it's a 10 stud. F-trucks are 8. We've got an 8 to 10 stud conversion. These are 22 by 8.5 inch rim. We're going to run dualies. Basically, I contacted 15 or so US manufacturers trying to buy a set of wheels. They either wouldn't reply to you, or when they found out you're in Australia, even though you'd organise your own shipping, they just didn't want to know about it. I ended up finding a manufacturer that would make these wheels and ship them to me. I ended up buying 6 sets of them. That was the minimum order quantity, and they actually came from Taiwan. The place they came from manufactures them for this company in the US. So I acquired these. They took 4 to 5 months to arrive. The other thing I've purchased is this bonnet. Super F Series spares in Brisbane. Great to deal with. That's who the bonnet came through. The thing I love about it is the vents in the top. They actually work. With the heat reduction we talked about earlier, it'll get the cold air into the engine bay, flush it under the truck and out. It's made of fiberglass, so we're going to fit that up when we update the front end. So as we just saw, there was the bonnet we're putting with the late model front. This is the 06 style headlight, and this is the 06 style front bar. Once it's all put together, it should look something like this. These bolt straight on. This, however, doesn't. There's a slight notch you've got to put into the radiator support panel to get this to fit into the Australian truck. If you like and subscribe, there'll be a video about that in coming weeks. The hardest part of this build sounds ridiculous, but the hardest part is actually finding one of these dually tubs. I hunted and hunted and hunted. Knowing that I wanted to build another F-truck, I actually purchased this probably 12 months ago, knowing that there would be something coming up in the future and I would eventually need it. At the time, I didn't even own an F-truck, but that's how hard they are to get. Coupled with that, most people don't even have one. I was lucky enough to find 2. That's your 2000-ish to say 2008. This is your 2008 onwards tub. The reason I bought this tub, I do not like these flares. The rounded type flare with the square style body or the square style tub just doesn't suit. I bought this purely to get the tailgate. So this is your early style tailgate. Very basic, F250 badge, Ford badge, tailgate handle, nothing too exciting. So this is the later model tailgate. It has Super Duty embossed in it. They look fantastic. These are near impossible to get. Even in the US, they're sought after. They have a reverse camera built into them, and they also have a wind down step. With the 4 inches of lift we have in it, it'll be fantastic. Basically fold the tailgate down, wind the handle, the step comes out of the tailgate, and you can climb into the tray, tub, bed, whatever you want to call it. These bolt straight to the earlier model tub. The only thing you need is the hinge. So I'll be taking the hinge off this and the tailgate and swapping them onto the early tub. So this is your standard style mirror. Very small. They're okay for a standard F-truck. The problem with these on a dually, once you have the dual wheels on the back, you cannot see past the flare that sticks out. I've bought these. These are a later model. They have the indicator in them. They're found in the 08 to 15 model F250s. The problem with these is they're left-hand drive mirrors. What we're going to do is pull the mirror apart, convert the mechanism to right-hand drive. The problem it creates is when you sit in the driver's seat and you look across, you cannot see what's down the left-hand side of the vehicle. You see 2 or 3 lanes over. So it's a matter of changing the pivot position on this. We'll do a video about that a bit later on. If you want to like and subscribe, come back and check that out, because I know a lot of you guys want to convert these mirrors. So there's a few smaller upgrades that we haven't mentioned. We're basically going to put late model side steps on the F-truck. We've got a 6-litre transmission cooler going onto it. It's massive. But this is what makes the truck. This is what makes it look fantastic. As you can see, I've already bolted the 10 stud adapter to it so you can get a visual of what it looks like. The tyre, it's a 37 12.5. We're going to run dual 37 12.5 inch tyres on the truck. Now, I previously said about the GVM upgrade being 4600. There's people out there that are saying, oh, this is illegal, you can't do that, you can't run this size tyre. Talk to your engineer. Talk to them about the GVM. How does that affect what you can and can't do to the vehicle? Can I run 4 inches of lift? Can I run a 37-inch tyre? Ask these questions. Know what you're talking about before you approach the engineer, and you'll get a better result. Be sure to tune in next week when we put all these parts together. We're going to turn the standard F truck into this. Don't forget to like and subscribe for the updates. Thanks for watching.